today I want us to do client-side fetching in Next.js. So if you need to do client-side data fetching in Next.js, you use effect from React or libraries like SWR and also what you call React query. So for me, I will not do use effect because that is very common, and also I will not do React query. I'll just do SWR to represent client-side data fetching in Next.js. So what is SWR? In full, it is actually stale while revalidate. That is in full. So it is actually a React hook library created by Vercel, which is actually the same company that created Next.js, which is used for data fetching and caching. So the purpose of SWR is for data fetching and caching. So it helps manage the state of remote data by offering features like caching, revalidation, and even error handling. All right. So there are some few features of SWR. For example, stale while revalidate, caching, revalidation, automatic refetching, and all those. So when I talk about stale while revalidate, that means it returns cached data immediately while fetching the updated data in the background. When I talk about caching, so SWR, it automatically caches fetched data so that it doesn't have to be refetched on each re-render. All right, and then we have revalidation. So after fetch request, the SWR will revalidate the cached data in the background, right, at a certain interval. So that will ensure the data is always updated. And also we have what we call automatic refetching. So fetching data in SWR, you can perform what we call automatic refetching by providing a certain interval where the data will always be updated. So every time after certain maybe seconds or minutes, the data will be fetched in the background and it will be updated in the cache, right? And also it also provides what we call error handling. So SWR provides built-in support for handling loading and even the error steps, so that you can easily display the UI based on the request status. So it provides what we call error handling features. For example, is error, and also loading states. For example, is loading, so that if it is still loading, you can display a spinner, and if it has an error, it can display an error. And also, if we have the data now, you can also display the data. So those are some of the features provided by SWR. Now, for you now to perform data fetching in SWR, first of all, search for SWR documentation. Here it is. Let me just go to documentation. So I go to npm. First of all, I'll install SWR. It's a package. So I'll just open a new terminal here. Npm install SWR. And then now, so what I will do, let me just look for it. So here we have it, quick start, we have for normal RESTful APIs, all this, we have the fetcher here, and then we have, you need to import it from SWR, and then you can perform the fetching here, all this. Okay, so for me, I like making it reusable, right? So I will use this one. So what I will do, first of all, I will just go to my components, to my source folder, I mean, and then I can create a new folder here. I will call it lib, and then inside here I will create a component. I can call it fetcher .js, and then inside here I can now paste this. So let me copy this and then I'll paste it here. Alright, so I'll paste this one here, and then I can call it, I can just call it fetcher or something like that. And then of course I'll need to import use SWR. You need to import that. So these are the states that I was talking about. It provides data, which is the data that you are fetching, the error that you'll get maybe when you're trying to fetch the data, and then it's loading. Is it trying to load in order to fetch the data? So this is another state that is also provided. And then we also have, this one is your endpoint. So for me, I can even pass my endpoint, which is provided here. Where is it? My endpoint localhost 3000 / blogs. So I can even use this one. So this is the endpoint. Let me just provide an endpoint here, and then /blogs. Blogs, and then it also provides what you call fetcher here, and also you can also add what you call revalidate, but I'll add that one later on. So for the fetcher, of course, you need to export it. So I'll come and say export function fetcher, that one. And then there's something that you need to also add. Remember, remember this fetcher is the same as this name, so I'll need to use another one. Another name, I can call it use fetch. I can just call it use fetch or something. Even this one, I can call it rename. I can call it use fetch. I think that one makes sense to avoid this clashing of the names. And also remember that fetcher is what is provided here. Here we go. So fetcher will take arguments, and then it performs the fetch with text arguments, and then it converts the data that you are receiving to JSON format, right? Now, and then what it will receive now, after performing the data fetching, it will now return these three states. First of all, it will return data. For me, I'll just use it as a data, and then it will return its loading, and then it will return its error. So if there's an error, it will return the error. If it is loading, it is still loading, and then the data will finally be fetched. Now, what about now using this in your components? So I'll go back to my app, to my blog, and this blog. Now I will remove all of this, all of that. I will also remove all of this. Now what I will do, we also have what is provided here, make it reusable, and then how to use it in your components. So here you go. So what you need to do, just copy all of this to it. I can let me just copy this one line for now. I'll just copy one line. Okay, I will remove this ID because I'm not fetching an individual resource, so I'm fetching in general. So here it will be use fetch, of course, which is exported, so it will be imported here, and then I'm good to go. So this one is not user, it will be data, because here I did pass it as data, so I will receive it as data, and then inside here I will receive it as data. So you can now check. Now this one will be ready to fetch your data. So you can go to your browser, check it. It is giving you an error because, of course, you need to first check if you have data, and then if you have data, go ahead and map it. So let me refresh. You can see now we have the data, and also you can also use these two states. So for example, if it is loading, display maybe a spinner, right? So I'll come here and I can say it's loading, and then I provide a spinner. So I can even look for a spinner. I can just look for Tailwind CSS spinner. Look for it. I can even take it from Flowbyte. I can copy the first one that I have, copy it, come here, paste it, and then of course I will change the classes, all the classes to be class names, and I think this one is okay. So if it is loading, display a spinner, right? So at least the user can track the progress. And then if you have an error again, if you have an error, I can come here and say is error. If you have an error, go ahead and display the error. I can just call it error, is error, that way. And then maybe you can pass a class here, a class name. Sorry for that. Class name, and then you can pass a class name of text, red, maybe 500, right? And then you're good to go. So you can see it will check if is it loading, display a spinner. Do you have an error, display this one. And then if we have data, it goes ahead and displays the data. So let's go ahead again and check. Let me refresh. So you can see there's a spinner loading somewhere here before it displays the data. For example, you can see this. Yes, so this is what I'm talking about. So at least the user can notice the progress. So that's how you can fetch data using SWR. But now, what about now fetching individual data here? All right. So what I will do, first of all, because remember here I did pass this kind of URL. So what I will do, I mean this endpoint. So what I will do, I will remove this endpoint and make it reusable. So here I'll just pass it as endpoint, right? And then this function will receive, sorry for this ID, will receive what we call endpoint, right? Will receive what we call endpoint. And then now in this page, I will pass endpoint, which is what I just copied, right? So that every page that you want to fetch the data, you pass your own endpoint. So you can see this one is still working the same way, but now you want to go to this page. So now I'll go to this component. I will remove all of this, all of that, and then now I'll copy what I have here. I'll just copy this one the way it is. Come here, I paste, but now remember it is dynamic. Remember our use fetch is dynamic. It can accommodate all endpoints. So I'll just change this one, and then I pass the dynamic ID. So I'll say and then I say unwrapped params dot blog underscore ID, and then I think that one is good to go. I now import use fetch, which is imported here, and then I will go ahead now and display the error. I mean there is loading and is error, and then I go ahead and display the data. So I can even start with the data, by the way. So I can just come here, I change the post, all these posts to be data, that way. And then I'll go back to my blog, copy these two, there is loading and the error, and then I come back here, and then I'll just add it inside here, this way. So now I'll be very ready now to display my data on this page. So let me reload, let me go back first. Okay, let me click on this. So we have iteration error and defining reading image. Okay, inside this page, okay, here. So I can come here and say again, if we have data, go ahead and display it. Yes, I forgot to do that. Yes, that is conditional, render data conditional. If you have the data, go ahead and display it. So come and check it. You can see it's now displaying. And I click on this, you can see it is loading, and then it will display. So that's how you can fetch data using SWR.